18th of September 2019, where we are going to have an informative, informal, and fun conversation. My name is Kim. I'm broadcasting live from my home today, as you probably noticed. I would like to apologize in advance if I have any audio or visual problems or interruptions. I'm taking advantage of Microsoft's wonderful working from home policy, which really helps out when you have a sick toddler. So thank you guys. So as they say, the show must go on, right? So joining me today are Carlos Ponce, my teammate in Mexico City, as well as Tulio, who has already introduced himself in Los Angeles. Today we're going to be talking. Today we're going to be talking about leveraging the road to improve your work, health, and home life to master the business of travel life. Here to tell us more about, I believe, the 6 energy habits to becoming an elite road warrior is Bryan Paul Buckley, a business travel performance expert. Welcome to Dojo.live, Bryan Paul.
Honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. So if you could, please share a bit more about yourself and your background to get us started.
Well, speaking of background, I'm a husband of 1. I'm a father of 5. I was just telling the other guys that in Chicago, which is where home base is for me, if you buy 4, you get 1 free as far as kids. I'll joke around and say that I really don't even like kids, but I do have a smoking hot wife. And my wife always loves to hear that from the movie Talladega Nights. Thank you, Jesus, for my smoking hot wife. And then she goes, woohoo. So oftentimes when I do training, she says, hey, how'd the training go? I said, all you want to know is that I use the line, thank you, Jesus, for my smoking hot wife with there. So yes, I'm thrilled to be here and talk about business travel and how to do it right, since I did it so wrong for so long.
Okay, that's doing it for so wrong. I think that
interesting for sure.
It'll be fun. Tulio, I think, well, Carlos too. Of the 3 of us, however, I believe you probably have more experience in business travel than either Carlos or myself. And I think I come in a very much third place.
I definitely was a road warrior at one time. I was in 4 cities in one day, several times.
Oh gosh.
I'm curious to learn how the heck he balanced all that with 5 children. This is definitely a guy to talk to about finding a way to balance traveling and all of it together. So I'm definitely curious, personally curious to see what's going on here.
So before we get into the details of your 6 habits, I wanted to know a couple things. I wanted to know, well, number 1, just how many years of business travel you have behind you. And that when I started to read up on you and prepare for today's talk, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie Up in the Air. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, right? With George Clooney and Anna Kendrick. And I immediately thought of the scene where George Clooney is teaching Anna Kendrick about like the suitcases and whatever and the check-in and this and that, and you're doing it wrong. And so I was wondering, number 1, how many years of travel experience you have behind you? And 2, which you've already answered, if you had seen that movie. And 3, if you could relate to Clooney's character at all.
Yeah, so number 1, decades and decades on the road, longer on the road than I've not been on the road. So which has led to 40 pounds overweight on the road, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And like I said, messing up on the road a lot more than I've succeeded through the years. Love the movie Up in the Air. I can relate to it more than I probably care for understanding that. But even as George Clooney in the movie struggled with his relationships, struggled connecting with people, that is just literally the plight of many, many business travelers. And kind of the reason that I wrote the book Elite Road Warrior, and really with the desire to help those that are on the road to be able to leverage the road out there. Most of us limit the road, what it can do for us, as opposed to limiting the road and what it can give to us, so that we can produce not just our work, but also our health and our home life. I mean, you can have that job, you can replace the job, but you struggle with your health, or you have to replace your home life. It is really, really challenging on that. So that's why I'm passionate about all those, and don't want to end up like George Clooney, although I wish I had the salary of George Clooney just from the movie, but that's a completely different conversation.
Yes, it is. And the next thing, before we get into the 6 habits again, I want to talk about real quick this idea of with so much travel, we at Nearsoft, we're a tech company, of course, and obviously throughout the years, technology has influenced and played a very large role in travel. So I was wondering, which perhaps elements of tech and travel you happen to appreciate the most? And the converse of that, which elements of tech and travel that have sort of arisen that you really don't like at all?
That's a great question, Kim. I have a tech background myself, so I've worked in the IoT M2M space for a number of years, coming up on a decade. Done a lot of contract work, consultant work, helping oftentimes global companies to develop a North American, specifically American presence with that, work as a corporate trainer or different areas of that. So I understand that. A lot of times, even though people do tech and they're doing video calls and all that, there's nothing like the live. Meeting people, spending time together, whether it's a live events or what have you. So I completely appreciate that. I love technology in general. I'm a tech geek when it comes to that. I'm an Apple guy, so I'm on a brand new MacBook Pro. I've got a MacBook Air. An iPad Air, and using technology every chance I can. I love FaceTime. That has made a tremendous difference on my relationships, but also realizing that I could use it as a crutch and I could use it as a fault on the road, especially with connecting with those back home. It's often on convenience when it's convenient for dad and nobody else. And I've learned the hard way from that. So oftentimes technology can be your best of friends, but it can also be your worst foe when you depend on it just too much.
Bryan, Paul, you said something interesting which resonated with me, and it's something I have to remind myself often, coming from the old school of going and doing things in person, to the new world of the efficiency of being able to use technology to have these kinds of conversation. And I often remind myself, and even people sometimes in coaching environments, like, don't trade in efficiency for relationship. Don't sacrifice relationship in the pursuit of efficiency. And that's a difficult thing to balance today because there's so many demands. I mean, you're a father of 5. You've got elite in the word. I think about like a Navy SEAL. You know, it's not just a soldier. Exactly. It's someone who's figured stuff out, who's learned a few tricks, who can teach a few tricks. So tell us a little bit about what it's been like for you that led up to writing this book, and first of all, and you know, what lessons you've learned along the way that prompted you to want to do this, to want to share the stories with other people.
Well, first of all, I would like to comment on what you just mentioned earlier at the very beginning with technology and being in front of people. You know, it's amazing when I email somebody or I call somebody or even a video call, whatever it is, the relationship is, well, it's not real. It's not tangible. As soon as you meet someone and have a conversation with them, it's amazing. It's a game changer. The next time I email them or I call them of what that relationship develops, the responses are quicker. There's a connection that's there. So leveraging that in person, I'm going to go old school on that one. So that's a big, big thing. You know, really, to be honest with you, kind of where the whole premise of Elite Road Warrior, which is right there, and the word elite, you think about elite athletes, you think about elite performers, you think about elite musicians, elite CEOs. It's people that are not only who have gotten there, you know, let's think an all-star status, they've stayed there and they've maintained that. That is elite. Somebody who does something 1 year or 2 years is not considered elite. So looking at a road warrior, somebody who their life is more on the road, is saying, how do I get there? But then how do I stay there and sustain there? So that's really the kind of the passion behind it. The premise of really Elite Road Warrior in a nutshell, and why I started even the company Elite Road Warrior Group, is I did it wrong for so long. You know, I'm a hard driver, high energy. I know, shocking, right? And just going through my 20s and my 30s and my 40s, and we're going, oh, Bryan, it's going to catch up to you. Oh, your energy is going to affect you. You staying up late as you are, you know, how you eat or the lack thereof. Oh, about not staying in shape, yada, yada, yada. I was like, yeah, not me. When I hit 40, all of a sudden, my health started going bad. And that's when things got a little bit ugly. For my 40th birthday, my wife gave me a full panel of tests with a doctor. She's a generous spouse, just like that. And went there and they said, good news, we couldn't find anything wrong. Bad news, we couldn't find anything wrong. So I used that as an excuse to continue to go harder and harder and harder. And I did for another 5 years. You know, I went from not so sweet of jobs to C-suite. And my responsibilities increased. So did my expense reports increase. So did my waistline increase. So did my stress increase, to the point where finally, when I was 45, my body completely shut down, guys. I mean, like, I was so sick that those close to me looked me in the eye, pulled me aside and said, are you terminally sick? Are you really, really sick? And got to the point where I was not functional, just not functional. Took me off the road for a number of months and had some really, really hard recoveries. And I realized how bad things had really gotten, not just with work, but also within my health and specifically in my home life. So that led me on a journey to figure out, how do I even get back to the road? How do I even get healthy again? How does somebody driven like me learn how to rest for the first time in my life? How do I learn to eat healthy? How do I learn to connect in a way that matters with being home a lot more? And then once I figure that out, how do I do that on the road? Because I've been a road warrior and my dad was a road warrior, and that's what I've learned. And so how do I learn to be able to do that at a sustainable level, to be able to continue to do it on the road? So that's kind of the premise. And as I would call the heartbeat of Elite Road Warrior, is helping business travelers with the three focus areas of your work, your health, and your home life.
It's fascinating. You were talking about, I smiled when you said I turned 40 because oddly enough, all kinds of things just start popping up. Then whenever an issue like these, for example, I never needed these till I was 45. I had 2015 vision, and my wife just turned 45 not too long ago. She looks 22, but she's like, wakes up like, I got this little pain. I'm like, welcome to the late 40s.
But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more. No, right. So, but if you're traveling and your business takes you abroad, it definitely becomes a big challenge. I went to Russia in April, and I was really concerned. Like, can I handle this? It's been a while since I used to be a road warrior, so I'm definitely not an elite anymore. But I was for 20 years. Yeah. So, you got these 6 energy principles? Love to hear what they are, because I'm sure those who are listening who are in the same boat, so to speak, are like, I'm about to get there, and I want to learn some of these myself. And maybe those who are younger are like, I want to avoid getting there and having these challenges. So what can you share with those what those are?
Sure. And today there's a buy one, get one free on the energy habits. I will share all 6 at no additional charge to just the kind of giver that I want to be today. So anyway, yeah, I mean, so the book is
so that's for 6 children now in the book.
I'm sorry?
The 6 is because you had 5 kids, but you really wanted 6, so you went with 6.
Yeah, don't tell my wife that. So anyway, nice.
Okay, please.
Yeah, so the book is based on 6 energy habits. 3 of them are physical energy habits, and 3 of them are mental energy habits. The 3 that are physical really dramatically affect the mental side of the game. Imagine that. So the 3 real quick are move, fuel, and rest. So move is how we move, or the lack thereof. Unfortunately, the road does most of the movement for us on the road. And when we get on the road, if we've got bad habits at home, oftentimes we're going to have even worse habits on the road. They're going to expose us. So for example, under move, I use what's called the increase M4X formula. So think of an up arrow, the letter M for movement, 4X in 4 ways. So how do it's asking myself these 4 ways every single day I'm on the road. So how do I stand more? Think up on your feet, not down on your butt. How do I walk more? Think forward, not still. Run more, think cardio, just get my heart rate up. And then lift more, think strength training, with weights and bands and body weights. So it's looking at the road and saying, okay, within my road day, how do I do that? How do I choose to stand at the gate as opposed to just sit down immediately? How, when I'm on my flight, do not only stand every 30 minutes to give my body some energy, how do I take a walk? Get some movement in, do some stretches. How do I stand within my day to provide more energy within some of those breaks? How do I walk more? That's one of those things. I mean, one of the principles we teach is, why don't you stay at the 2nd floor in the hotel room, and after you take your carry-on bag up to the 2nd floor or whatever floor you're on, the elevator is officially out of order for you. How do I get more movement in by walking? So I'm going to take the stairs up and down. I'm going to park at the back of the parking lot, for example. I'm going to look for opportunities to take walking breaks. Little areas where I can get more walk in for my movements, so it allows me to get some more energy, because movement creates energy. Run more. It's not going for a 5K or a marathon. Again, it's just getting my heart rate up. I mean, I can do that. Well, do you take 5 sets of stairs? Sometimes that'll get your heart rate up. Just doing a handful of push-ups or burpees will get your heart rate up. It may be an elliptical or a treadmill in a fitness center. It may be going for a small jog that turns into a sprint that goes to a walk. But just some way within your day that you're getting your heart rate up, which means run more. And then lift more is using, like I said, strength training. Sometimes I'll just have resistance bands, and I got 10 minutes, and it's go time in my hotel room. But remember, anything's better than nothing. So if I can do something, anything, just not nothing, I'm not going to go, I can't get a full hour workout in. Oh, they don't have the weights or whatever I need in the hotel fitness center. Booyah, forget it. Just get something. Consistency over length. You want to get something in, anything, just not nothing, so that you can get that movement that creates energy for you on the road. I try to get it in first thing in the morning to make sure I've got something. I'm not going to rely on the end of the day to get my movement in. So that's kind of the nutshell, if you will, of energy habit number 1 of movement. And movement oftentimes will give you that energy that you truly need. Questions, comments, snide marks on energy habit number 1?
Well, I really enjoy that. I have to tell you, personally, when I would travel more, I always plan things around efficiency, right? So it's like, how can I squeeze in more? And never gave thought to the idea, maybe I should give myself an extra 10 minutes to walk, from the parking lot to the lobby, or walk up 5 flights of stairs. That didn't process. And as a result, I was one of those people who gained a lot of weight because I never got to do enough movement. Again, I was trying to squeeze efficiency instead of relationship with myself. So that's a great principle. I love that. I think anyone listening who's not doing that could probably learn to put that in practice. That's a simple, easy thing to do.
Exactly.
Walk more, move more. What else? You said there's 2 more physical principles.
Correct. So there's 3 physical energy habits. First one's move. And again, like even in the book, just real quick, it's a matter of going, well, I already do that. Well, maybe you do. It's how well are you doing it? Is it producing your end result of energy? So it's really unpacking that and trying to provide a lot of examples of what to do and how to do it. Energy habit number 2 is fuel. Fuel is food, or food is fuel. Fuel is energy. So again, everything goes back to energy habits. So what I consume, is it providing energy for me? So we talk about 3 principles within fuel. Number 1 is continually hydrate. And it's making sure I'm getting in the liquids into my system, into my body that hydrates me. If I'm a high performance car, a high performer on the road, it's making sure that I've got the fluid in so that my energy engine is running smoothly. So whether that's the oil in the car, is going to be your water. It's making sure you get the water that you need on a consistent basis. The number 2 is clean and green. So it's the food that I'm consuming on a consistent basis. Most would just eat to eat out of entertainment or necessity. We don't necessarily look at it as going, well, let's provide the energy that I need. For example, if you're not having a breakfast, you're having a lousy breakfast, you're going to notice your energy dip in the middle of the morning. If you have a lousy lunch, no wonder you're paying the price. Maybe even others are paying the price as a result of what you ate for your lunch, whether it's your energy that's low in the afternoon. But it's learning to view your food as clean and green. How can I have the food to be cleaner? And how can I have the food to be greener? And looking at that, saying, well, somebody's like, man, I can't go to a salad or eat organic meat or whatever. Not saying it needs to be immediate. We use a principle called add first, then reverse. Start putting in some of the good stuff in. If you got to put the ranch dressing on to eat the dark greens, do it. You got to have the sauce to get the chicken in, or the eggs, or whatever you need to do it to start. But the goal then, food is fuel, fuel is energy. The last part of fuel is, it is called carry a controlled substance, which is a little bit, what's that? Well, what that is basically making sure that you're never caught off guard, where you always have snacks in your first and last meal of your trip, that you have access to that so that you're never caught off guard. When I'm caught off guard, I make lazy choices in my food, and I make easy choices in my food. And those often usually come back and bite me with my energy, or they mess up my stomach, or whatever. I want to make sure I'm not caught off guard. So I have a little lunchbox that I carry with me. I just literally recorded a podcast episode on that, to why every road warrior should carry a lunchbox to work. And the point is, I'm not caught off guard. And a lot of times that's healthy snacks. And it's making sure I've got what I need from a nutritional point of view, because things are going to go wrong on the road. You're going to get to the airport late. You're not going to have proper food options on that. You're going to get stuck in traffic. You're going to get stuck, whatever. Making sure that I have the water that I need, continually hydrate, food that gives me energy, clean and green, and I'm going to carry a controlled substance. So I got snacks and I got healthy things that I'm never caught off guard when I'm on the road, so I can make the healthiest choice. And that's really, if you get 4 words for the principle of fuel, it's MTHC. Make the healthiest choice.
Again, that's it's what I'm hearing is make time for that, right? Because if you're running, that becomes very difficult. So you have to build in time to follow through on these habits, really good habits. Okay, so we 3 physical energy habits, and then you said there are 3 mental ones.
Yep. Well, the last of the 3 physical energy habits.
I wouldn't cover the third one. Yeah, that's the third.
That's right. That's right. Number 3 is rest, and rest really on that is, rest is going to create energy as much as we think. Usually, that's the secret shame of a high-performing road warrior, is we don't know how to rest. We go. I was the guy, stadium lights on, every device on, taking my laptop lover up with me if I had my laptop lover over dinner, taking her up to the room for a nightcap, and I'm having a drink, and it's not water. Stadium lights are on. I'm up till midnight. Every device is on. Then I wonder when I fall asleep why my brain doesn't shut down. I sleep for a couple hours, and all of a sudden, I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom because I got 12 cotton balls in my mouth from from the alcohol and no water. I mentioned that. And then I fall asleep, or at least try to fall asleep, and wake up a couple hours later sharp as a bowling ball. And for me, when I crashed, I had to learn how to sleep. I was the 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep at best. I slept less on the road. So it's learning how to sleep. But with sleep, it's not how to sleep more. So I want to improve my sleep that I get, not increase my sleep just first. So a lot of times we may only have 5 or 6 hours. So let's make the best of that. So we talk about in the book, how do you do that? How do you improve your rest before you increase your rest? Second part is breaks. I define a break as move the body, rest the mind. Move the body and then rest the mind. Most people do the opposite. They move their mind. They go from the computer to their phone, and then they still sit on their butt. They don't move at all. And it's learning on the road to move my body and rest my mind. You can do that with micro breaks, mini breaks, max breaks. We give a lot of examples in the book. Last one is downtime. And it seems like on the road, we're always on, which is just downtime is I'm always on. Downtime is defined time to be, not to be on. So it's looking for opportunities to be able to find some things, whether it's a half an hour, that you can do just to be, not to be on, to allow you to have some more energy. For example, I was in the Bay Area last week, and I went and caused a San Francisco Giants game just for a couple of hours. It's a cheap seat, and it was around 20,000 people that I didn't have to talk to at all. But it was just time to be, not to be on. Hitting a Barnes & Noble for half an hour and getting a hot tea or whatever, just some time to put some energy back into me. And that is what rest is. So it's sleep, breaks, downtime is the last of the 3 physical energy habits.
So my old practice of getting sleep on a red eye was probably not a good idea.
Probably not. I was not there with you, Tulio, but between us girls and the way I used to do red eyes, I was red eye for a number of reasons, if you know what I'm saying.
All right. So we got the 3 energy habits, physical energy habits.
Correct.
And then you talked about the 3 mental habits. I'm going to probably guess these are the toughest ones.
Yes, often enough. Now,
okay.
Number 4, which is really the first of the mental energy habits, is why we're on the road. It's to perform. The problem is most of us don't perform at a high level. We act like we're this high-performing vehicle and we're a 1999 beat-up Toyota Camry work car. We don't take care of it. And as a result of that, it affects us on the road. And we may not see it right away, but we know, especially if we really try to perform at a high level, are we doing it? Are we getting better or are we getting worse? Is our energy dropping throughout it? So it's learning how to have a road plan. So road plan is how do I find and work in the margins on the road? We know there's certain times of the road rhythm, and I call it road life, of where we can work and where we can't. But a lot of times we don't work in the margins very, very well. So it's learning to have a road plan, looking at your plan of your road day and knowing, okay, first of all, how do I implement the 6 energy habits on the road within that given day? But then also, 2, how do I make sure that I work in the margins? So whether it's time blocking, where I'm looking at going, okay, if I get a 20-minute time block, instead of going all over and randomness on there, I'm going to go through as many emails as I can. I'm going to take the first 2 minutes, and I'm going to see, okay, what are my most important emails? I'm going to start knocking those out. I may have 15 minutes to make some phone calls. I'm going to look through all the calls that came in. What's my number 1 call I need to make? How do I figure that out? It's learning to take those principles, but leveraging what we do at home or work in an office, and how do we put that in bite sizes on the road? That's a road plan. Block and tackle is figuring out how do I do that? Like when I actually get on the road, teams that don't block and tackle well in football lose games. Penalties, they don't do well. So it's when you get into those margin moments, how do you maximize that time on the road? And the last of those 3 is going to be energy pacing. Our energy doesn't stay the same all throughout the day. And a lot of times that's dependent upon movement creates energy, rest creates energy, fuel creates energy. So it's figuring out, how am I doing? Am I not resting? What can I do? Sometimes my task doesn't equal my energy. And it's going to take me twice as long. It's going to be half as good. And then I get to do it all over again. So it's learning how to pace your energy on the road with how you're wired. That is energy habit number 4, perform.
Excellent. So we're coming up on time soon. I want to cover the last 2 and open it up for anyone that might have a question as well. So Carlos, if there are any questions, please interrupt now and submit it. And so we definitely want to make time for the last 2 because it's very informative, and I'm certainly taking a lot of mental notes, and I'll be picking up that book soon. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm placing my order. So the other 2, we'll keep going unless we get interrupted. It looks like we lost Kim. She had some trouble today with her connection, and our poor toddler's home with a fever. So We miss you.
I'm here. I'm here. I had Zoe sitting on my lap and playing.
But we figured out and moved forward and keep the show going. So, all right, good. Do you have a question? We're for Bryan Paul, or can we let him go into the next two mental principles?
No, I'm good. I've followed all along. I mean, left off at the energy pacing. What's the last two?
Let's keep going then. Let's keep going, Bryan. This is awesome.
Yeah, the last two under mental energy habits. Well, first is develop. And develop on that, which is energy habit number 5. Most people are like, huh? Why is that even part of an energy habit? Develop means personally and professionally. So it's putting things in. So the first part of that's sharpen the mind. So it's reading a book like Elite Road Warrior. It's listening to the audiobook of Elite Road Warrior or something else like that. It's following your podcast. It's things like that where I'm putting things in that help me personally and professionally. And I hear excuses all the time, and I don't believe it one bit. I got a 30-minute drive to my airport, 30 minutes for me to listen to something. I get on a plane. I got a choice whether I want to read something. In the morning when I'm working out, my podcasts are similar in length of yours. I got time to do that. It's a matter of, do I make the time? Nobody has time. You have to make the time. And if we plan to sharpen the mind, we'll know where to put it. But the second part of that is process the thoughts. So once I get everything in my mind, how do I get it out? So it's learning to process the thoughts. And that is what I call through think space, just getting all those ideas and those thoughts onto paper. It's also learning to figure out what are ways that I can plan. What's the follow-up I need to do on the road? What is an idea that I have that I need to follow up on? All these little ideas that I can do, and I've got one central location that I can put that in. In my case, it's called the Elite Road Warrior Journal. The last part of that is I sharpen the mind, I process the thoughts, and then I monitor the heart. The longer we're on the road, the more cynical we can get, the more apathetic we can get, and oftentimes, we come home pretty grouchy. We come home and not really making sure that our heart's in a good place. So, for example, with that, I've got a journal that I journal 9 questions every single day. They're simple questions. It takes me 5 to 10 minutes. But it helps me to look back. What happened yesterday? What were my biggest wins? What lessons did I learn? Looking to go, who or what am I thankful for? How am I feeling right now? Like really feeling right now? What am I looking forward to today? Today's highlight. What are my big 3 that I hope to accomplish? And what am I going to read and listen to? And something like that, just those 5 or 10 minutes really allows me to monitor the heart. So develop is one of the most difficult ones on the road because oftentimes we don't do it at all. We move and we eat and we sleep. We may do them all poorly. We're there to work. We may be horrible at work, but we may not develop at all beyond reading a work email or whatever. And we're talking about how do we improve ourselves personally and professionally. That's energy habit number 5, develop.
Sounds like great advice. I mean, obviously introducing consciousness into the process of even being on the road and just feeding your mind and your soul and, continuing to keep the brain going. So what's the 6th one? What's the 6th one? 6th
one is called connect. And I love this because that has to relate to them right there. I did that wrong for a long, long time where I just did not connect. I was what I called a checking guy, not a connecting guy. I responded via text when it was convenient for me. I called the family when it was convenient for me. Oftentimes at bad time, it was dinner. My wife's working on homework with the kids or trying to get them out to soccer practice or football or whatever. But it's learning to be able to connect in a way that matters. But then leveraging the road, doing things differently that I wouldn't normally do. So for example, I created what's called the Flat Kiddos with the concept of Flat Stanley. So right here's Flat Caitlin and here's Flat Caleb. Yeah. So I do all kinds of crazy pictures on the road to let them know my kids that I was thinking about them. I do postcards for my older kids. I do a ton of video stuff, but I do things that I'm leveraging the road to connect with my kids. With my wife, I created this right here. What's called the Not Forgotten Journal. I spend 2 minutes every single day, and I write in the Not Forgotten Journal. Basically, I put the city and the dates, and then I just write an idea, a memory, something to my wife to let her know that she's not forgotten on that. When she got this, I can't tell you the mad kudos that she knew. And we're talking 100 entries in here over that she knew that on, June 14th, I'm in Kansas City, and on April, whatever, I'm in Las Vegas, that my wife was not forgotten on the road. And I do that at the end of the night before I go to bed to kind of, remind me, hey, what's really important. I frame the fam. I put a picture of my family right there, a couple places in my hotel room to remind me what's important so that I become a checking guy, a connecting guy, not a connecting girl.
Well, I have to say, Bryan Paul, these are great energy habits to have, period, whether you're traveling or just
you're exactly right,
living your life, because I know the connect piece is definitely something I've struggled with when I'm on the road. And it's easy to justify saying I'm on the road, I got a million things going on, but that's, if you're not connected, that's like what it's all about, right? And for CEOs and other executives, same thing. That are not practicing connecting with their people. It's the same principle. So I find
you're
that
exactly right. And these principles aren't just for home. I'm sorry, just for the road. I just translated them for a road word because that's where I live a lot of my life. And so I think
it's difficult for sure. Absolutely, I can attest that I haven't been a road warrior for 20 years. It definitely becomes very difficult. Those are great tips. It's been wonderful to have you. We can keep going, but we're out of time. And anything you want to say, Kim, to wrap up?
Well, I did have one last question. I loved your connect ideas, your flat children and the journal to your wife. Yeah. I was wondering if your family reciprocates this.
100%. I think they were waiting for a long time for dad to do it. And plus, I think part of that is, it's connect intentionally is the first part that says connect intentionally, thoughtfully, and creatively. First one is not to have expectations. I do it because I want to invest into my family and I want to be thoughtful, not necessarily for their response, but man, their response was overwhelming on that. But I've talked to a lot of road warriors because they've delayed it for so long that it's taken a while for them to go, is this a ploy? Is he going to be consistent with this? Is this going to be something that's going to last? But I tell you, it's dramatically helped my marriage and helped my relationship with my kids because I do miss things. My wife's a single mom when I'm gone. I do. So
does Flat Daddy go to the soccer games?
Oh, exactly. Nice. He really should. Although they kind of wonder what's the deal with that guy right there, right? Good question. Good question.
I really love this idea of connect. I listened to, I think it was a video at one point, and it was saying, if you're going to go on the road for a few days, date your spouse the night before. Remind them that they matter. Like, what a great practice. So that gives you an opportunity to have a lot of dates if you're a road warrior. So it's all perspective. Really appreciate it. I'm definitely picking up the book because I think those are great tips.
It's available. It's available on audiobook form, which is by Audible. So Amazon owns Audible. So there's the Audible version of it. There's the hard copy. There's the print. And then there's the podcast, Elite Road Warrior Podcast. So it's just usable content for people that travel, whether they're just starting off and they don't want to do it the wrong way, or it's somebody who's been doing it for years. There's a lot of, every chapter ends with a baby step and 3-pointers. So it's designed to help. Some people go, Bryan, I don't remember you being 40 pounds overweight. So give me little bite-sized pieces to help me to find some quick wins, if you will. And by the end of the year, I'll have what's called the Kickstart Road Course is going to launch. It's the how of the Elite Road Warrior book. How do you do it? How do you get those quick wins? So it'll actually be video-based just like this. It'll be showing different things, me traveling on the road. Hey, do this, try this. Hey, I'm not doing this very well, yada, yada, yada. So hopefully it benefits individuals, and that's kind of the master evil plan here.
Well, thank you for being with us, and I'll let Kim wrap it up for us, or Carlos, whichever you want to wrap it up. That'd be great.
Kim?
Yes, I too, Bryan Paul, would like to thank you for joining us today and with your very simple yet profound, I think, insights on how to live life better in general, and particularly as a road warrior. The last thing I wanted to know is, aside from your book, for our viewers and listeners, how might they find out more about you? Is there a website or a Twitter or anything that you would like to reference?
Yeah, I appreciate that. EliteRoadWarrior.com is probably the easiest way to go. You can find the book that's there. There's a 90-second promo video that kind of helps you understand exactly what we're all about. I do corporate trainings, workshops, keynotes, a lot of that, a lot of online stuff as well. Imagine that with technology. I'm on Instagram. It's probably the best way to follow me, Elite Road Warrior. On the Instagram side, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Imagine that. So the best way is to reach out. If I can serve you or your audience in any way, please let me know. I'm an average guy who's just trying to help the 4th grader out, being a 5th grader, shine the flashlight to go, hey, this is the way to do it. This is the way not to do it. And hopefully it serves people.
Well, we'll make sure we put all those links on the page, on this video page on nearself.dojo.com. So.
I appreciate it. And thanks for the patience. I know this show goes shorter, but time flew by, and you guys appreciate just the patience.
As we normally say, time always flies when you're having fun.
There you go. Nice. So, and my dad used to say, "Thanks for coming, but most of all, thanks for leaving." I don't know if that.
And with that said, let's go offline and just stay with us.
The Introvert's Guide to Socializing.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.